Well, hello, Algebra 1 students. This is Lesson 11, and our objective for today is how do you multiply and divide real numbers. So not just doing natural numbers or counting numbers, we are moving into the real numbers, so there's fractions, decimals, fun things like that. So just some things to remember here, properties to remember. Some of these you probably have seen before or seem somewhat familiar. If you take any number a, and multiply it by -1. That's the same thing as saying -1 times a, so that's we call the commutative property there. And that's the same thing as -a. And you can also go from this way that way. Right? If you have -a, you can say that's the same thing as -1 times a. This is a zero property. If you take any number times 0, or 0 times any number, you just get 0. And this is the inverse property of multiplication. A times 1 over a, or something about like 2 times 1/2. Same thing times 1/2 times 2 will just give you 1. The only exception, of course, is if that a is 0, because we can't divide by 0. So that's kind of the only exception to that rule. And then this is maybe just a reminder, I hope. If not, learn this. If you take the product or the quotient of any two numbers with the same sign, that comes out to be a positive number. So if you say 2 times 2, it comes out to be a positive 4. -2 times -2 comes out to be a positive 4. If you take the product or the quotient of two numbers with different signs, then the answer is negative. So -2 times +2 will come out to be -4. Or 2 times -2 will come out to be -4. So pause that, write that down if you need to. Remember those properties as we move through. Alright, so here we go. These are like example A. So let's just multiply the 6 and the 5. Notice the 6 is positive 6 and the 5 is a -5, so we know our answer is going to be negative. 6 times 5 is 30, so that's going to be my answer. Part B here. I'm going to guess that this was supposed to be a negative. So we'll just pretend like that was a -3 times a -0.4. Well, if we want to, 0.4 times 3, it's going to come out to be 12. Since they're both negative, I know my answer is going to be a positive number. We have one decimal place here, so it's going to come over 1, so it's going to be 1.4. Again, those are both negative, so they're the same sign. That means my answer comes out to be positive. Alright, like example 2, let's look at here. Part A, this means -2 times -2 times -2. Notice I have 1, 2, 3 of them. That's why I have that 3 as an exponent. So just multiply these first two. First, -2 times -2. Negative times a negative gives me a positive. 2 times 2 is 4. So I'm going to have 4 times -2. 4 times -2, well, 4 times 2 is 8. But since these are different signs, that one's positive, this one's negative, my answer is going to be -8. Okay. Part B here is pretty similar, except for now my exponent is 4. So I'm going to have don't know why I put a 4 there. -2 times -2 times -2 times -2. Again, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 factors because my exponent is 4. So let's multiply these first two and multiply the last two. And I will get -2 times -2 is going to give me a positive 4. Same idea over here, so it's going to be times a positive 4. 4 times 4 is 16. That'll be my answer. Now, notice, now that I've scribbled over this, the difference between this one and this one. This one has in parentheses a -2 to the 4th power. This one just says -2 to the 4th power. So the base of this one is 2. The base of this one is -2. So you'll see how these expand a little bit differently here. This one is going to be negative. Notice that negative right out there. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Maybe if you want parentheses for a little bit of consistency here. Again, I have